In a lot of ways, Jimmy really was a Cage Warriors original. You know, somebody started his career with the brand. You know, he was wild, from a judo background, but you really did see raw potential in him. You know, although he started off his career at a higher weight, you know, he looked athletic, he looked the part. You know, he came down wearing a gi to Guns N' Roses, and then obviously the link up with the Roughhouse, you saw him, you know, refine his skills, work on his striking, and he sort of really developed the overall package, you know, and he ended up being a really fearsome, dangerous, domestic, if not European level welterweight. And if you look at the rankings at the time, you know, he was always up there. You know, it's great to have him back on Cage Warriors, especially as this is a man who sort of was part of that early noughties revolution, you know, that saw Cage Warriors do shows at the Sky Dome in Coventry, a show in the States, and it was really rewarding back then, and it's fantastic to see him back.
At the time, I felt like it was a big decision, and I basically should have signed sooner. I let things get in my head and stuff that are really relevant, and it's the best decision I've ever made. I'm going back to the biggest evolving promotion with a roster stacked full of talent, multi-fights, guaranteed in a certain time frame. It's where I need to be if I want to take my career seriously, perform to my best. I need to be with Cage Warriors. I need to be active, and even if I don't show my best in the next 2 or 3 fights because I haven't been active enough, I know when I get active again. Like back in the day at Cage Warriors, I fought 7 times a year. You know what I mean? I fought 7 times one year, and that's me at my best. So at the minute, I'm a bit rusty. My performances ain't great, and yeah, my head hasn't been confident getting in the cage because I've not been fighting enough. I've changed a few things in my training. Signed with Cage Warriors. I know my best is yet to come. It might take me, it might be my next fight. It might take me 3 fights, but the best Jimmy Warrior is on his way, and I believe I can do it in my next fight. My career as a whole, I think I've had a lot of up and downs, and never really fulfilled my potential or hit the targets I want to hit. I feel like my apprenticeship's done, and now it's time to come into my own and do what I'm capable of doing. The reason I haven't fulfilled my potential is because I let my head get in the way of stuff, and I know I haven't given the performance that I know I'm capable of at my best. You know, if my head's right and my body's right, I know I can do a lot more than I have, and I know I've got a lot to offer. And I've never felt how I feel now with the people who represent me and support me. So make that of what you will. Yeah, like everyone, I mean, you learn from your mistakes. You know, like every loss in a fight, you learn, you get better. You know, but there's also been fighting this stuff outside the cage as well, and loads of times I've made mistakes and not learned as much. But now I think I hope I can make any more mistakes outside the cage. To be honest, like I keep saying, mate, I feel like it's coming together.
Jimmy was always so highly regarded. You know, he's a good all-rounder, he's tough, and I think people noticed it domestically, people who knew the sport, you know, and there were a lot of articles about him, and he'd do interviews, and, you know, but whether he's just in the shadow of the other Roughhouse guys, or what, I'll never know, but yeah, he never got the breaks they did, whether it be titles or sort of other opportunities. I mean, the hype train was there, and there was plenty of people on it, but yeah, he'd either fought the final hurdle or things just wouldn't pan out. I mean, he definitely had losses that hurt his career. Dennis Seaver, the first Enter the Roughhouse show in Nottingham, you know, he was dominating Seaver. And then Seaver subs him in the second. Seaver's next fight's the UFC. Jimmy's next fight's a date back in Nottingham, you know, where he had to go and rebuild things. Even before that, you know, he lost important fights to Peter Angria, who was a good German fighter, you know, a European journeyman, if you will. But again, you know, a great start, couldn't close the deal. And in between them fights, he was given opportunities and promises, and they just never panned out.
In my career, I've had some good achievements, yeah, but I've always seemed to, got in the Bellator tourney, went out in the first round. Got to a title shot on Bama, lost, didn't win the title shot. I've done some good things, had some great scalps, but never, got to the Ultimate Fighter as an alternate, didn't get in. Signed an IFL contract, they went bust 2 weeks later. That's sort of the story of my career a bit, I get to the door and then it's sort of locked.
It's tough, and he did well to sort of ride out the times that he did, but now he's back at Cage Warriors, and it's just Jimmy now. It's just Jimmy. The focus is on him, and I think like with the fight with Roberts, he's got a massive opportunity now to really establish himself as the premier British welterweight, maybe even in Europe, and be one of those guys that can, just have his career skyrocket in the same way that other Cage Warriors fighters have in the last few years. And, he can also claim that title, which, before it never looked like he was ever in line to get because of it be other people in his gym, at the Rough House or elsewhere. He was never sort of in title contention despite being one of the best guys out there at the time.
I was House of Pain champ, Wales show. I was House of Pain champ, man. I loved it. I was dead proud of it though. Dead proud of it. I beat Jenkins, Jordan James, John Phillips to become House of Pain champ. So I was pretty happy with that at the time. I just fitted in. That's where I belonged at that time, and yeah, I enjoyed it. But obviously back in the day, I never won the title. I was sort of Dan's apprentice, and Dan's sort of a training partner. Yeah, obviously I always wanted to be a Cage Warriors champion. I looked up to Dan. All the champions in Cage Warriors are amazing and been amazing and will continue to be amazing. If I sat here now and said I don't want to be Cage Warriors champion, I'd be a liar. You know what I mean? Yeah, like I'm always going to look up to Daly and Dan, because if it wasn't for Daly and Dan, I never would have been part of Rough House. I wouldn't have learned a lot of stuff. So I'm always going to. I've been in the game a lot longer. I've had more fights, and that's just time spent, isn't it?
In some ways, things have gone full circle. Jimmy was the franchise player, if you will, of the old Cage Warriors. He was the guy that people would turn up in the Midlands to go and watch, whether it be in our old shows at the Skydome Arena or in Nottingham. He was one of our top drawers. He was the promotional player. To name your cliche. He was it. He was the man. And now here we are. He returns, and he's fighting a guy that's coming off a great win, and 5-0 at Cage Warriors. And many people are saying, well, right now that he's one of our promotional top dogs, and that makes it really interesting as well.
In all honesty, a couple of my coaches thought it was a bad fight. And I want Danny to know that, because I'm going to prove my coaches wrong. I'm going to prove everyone wrong. I'm going to prove to everyone that I said I'm the best in this country. I'm going to show people I can be the Cage Warriors champion. Like I keep saying, this fight has given me a kick up the arse. For the first time I've had to fight an up-and-comer, especially who's a British guy, in a long time. And I'm taking him very, very serious. It's the biggest fight of my career. You know what I mean? If I come here and lose this fight, then I just become in Cage Warriors, and I have to have like 3 or 4 more fights before I even get considered again for a title. I know I'm on the cusp of a title shot. I beat Danny and maybe another guy. I'm in for a title shot. I want that, so I know how important this fight is. It's the biggest fight of my career against the hottest prospects of my career. So, yeah, old gen, next gen. I ain't training like old gen. I'm training like the next generation fighters train. And I'm as hungry as the next generation of fighters. So just a few years older doesn't mean I can't beat him.
Danny was boxing in the gym downstairs, and he kept coming up and asking me for the keys for the gym downstairs, and I'd seen him hitting the bag, and I was always thinking, I wouldn't fancy him hitting me like that. So I said to him, have you ever grappled? And he was like, nah, never done anything like that. So I asked him, I said, I bet you £10 that you can't last 5 minutes with one of my guys grappling. He tapped one of my guys, and I pulled him to one side and I just said, would you consider doing this? And he was like, I'm boxing, I've got fights coming up and that sort of stuff. And I was like, okay, well, you know, would you think about doing it? So we did a little bit of training, and I showed him some takedown defense and a couple of little bits like a triangle and how to close his guard up and stuff like that. And I said to him, okay, let's give it a shot, let's see what you can do.
It was weird because I started off and I had a couple of ups and downs, to be fair. I'll be honest with it.
He didn't fall in love with it straight away. What actually happened was he did like a couple of amateur fights, and then I was always, oh, come on, you know, we're going to take this serious now, we're going to do this serious. And then a couple of other people were trying to pull him back in the direction of boxing.
My head was a little bit up in the air, and it was a hard one to sort of say, but it, after time progressed, with me being in and out of the gym, little bits of fitness, learning little bits and achieving little goals, Paul Rimmer more or less put on my toes one day and just said, listen,
you can be an average boxer, or you can be a world champion MMA. I was like, your muscle memory and the way you pick up grappling is so fast. I was like, your athletic movements suit a sport with multiple changes of range and martial arts, basically, you know, and that's what suits Danny. He can just, at the blink of an eye, he can shoot on you, he can double leg you like GSP can. He can drive you across from one end of the cage to the other and take you off your feet, and you can't sprawl out that. He can get on top of you and ground and pound you. His power, his speed, his finesse and his movements, they cross over better to MMA than they ever did with boxing.
And he just said, I've got you a fight there. I want you to go into it and see what you can do. And that was the wake-up call for me, because as soon as I went and had the fight, I finished the kid in the first round, first semi-pro fight, after 8 or 9 weeks of training, just doing little bits, learning the basics, to basically get me through. Obviously I had my hands, so I had to stand up there. It sucked me in straight away, and that was me then. I had fear going into it, because coming from the boxing and then putting on them little 4-ounce gloves was a big shock to me. But when I went in there, and I literally just felt alive when I was in the cage, everything free. You're your own unique fighter in the cage. So for me, it was that was the one thing that sort of pinpointed one of the reasons why I loved this sport.
I think a lot of people, if offered Jimmy Wallhead in his first fight back at Cage Warriors, probably would have said no way. But to be fair, Danny took it with both hands. You know, he jumped at it.
It went as far as this. We had a couple of names got thrown in the hat, and we had a couple of people turned down, as we have had through numerous fight camps. Like I say, you get that in MMA. And then the fight, basically, it didn't necessarily come up. It was a case of Jimmy getting signed to Cage Warriors. Now, when Jimmy got signed to Cage Warriors, Paul Rimmer, my head coach, his eyes lit up.
Yeah, the fight with Jimmy came about because Danny wanted to test himself. We were looking at potential opponents that there could be in the division. We heard that he was signed, it got announced, and we looked at him and we seen some things we can exploit in his game. I look at Danny as kind of quite a new school fighter, and I see Jimmy's like still very experienced, one of the old guard, and you know, it's a good time for an up-and-comer to take out a seasoned veteran.
I've always known of Jimmy Wallhead, and that's basically because of Rough Ice. Obviously, like I say about the pedigree fighters they've had in there, the likes of Daly, and obviously Dan Hardy as well. It's brought attention to that gym. Now obviously bringing attention to the gym, you then look into who else they've got. And Jimmy Wallhead was obviously one of them. Like I say, he's a welterweight. I've been up and coming, so going up through the ranks, I've always looked at people above me, and I've always seen Jimmy's name there. But I'll be honest, I didn't think that I'd ever come to fighting Jimmy. And even up until the fight actually got announced, I still didn't believe I'd be fighting Jimmy, do you know what I mean? Until we signed on the dotted line, do you know what I mean? And now that it's a go-ahead, I just know that even though I have got respect for Jimmy, and obviously he is one of them well-respected, a good UK MMA like idol for a lot of people, MMA based. I know I've got to put all that to one side to continue towards my passions and dreams.
In a lot of ways right now, Danny finds himself in the same kind of situation that Jimmy Wallhead was in back in the day. You know, the kid's got nothing. He's got a great record, he's got a lot of hype, and he's getting a lot of attention on social media and in rankings, but, you know, if you're going to be hypercritical, you know, you could argue what he's done, but this is his big moment. You know, this is where he could really make it by taking out, you know, someone like Jim Wallhead, who's got a huge record, you know, has fought world-class guys. And this, you know, is this his time? Is this when he can start to make something for himself, you know, for his family? It's a real life-changing opportunity. And, you know, he's got to take it if he wants to progress to the next level.
One of the reasons that I fight is literally, like I say, I had a bad upbringing when I was young, and there was a handful of years that have kind of moulded me to the man that I am today. And all I've ever wanted to do is look after my mum, look after my sister, look after my brother, because like I say, I was the oldest child as well, and being the older brother as well, I kind of felt that like it was my responsibility to do things. And when I was younger, I didn't have the power to be able to do the things that I wanted to do. And now that I'm a big man, I've got a full working able body that I can get fit and I can put into good use. You know, this is me. There's nothing else I can imagine myself doing or being. This is going to be the way that I'm going to be able to support my family. This is the way that I'm going to be able to pursue all the goals and achieve all the dreams that I want to achieve. And that's to go out there and fight, and to put everything on the line, use the power that I've been given through the hardships that I've had, all the negatives that I've had, all the put down moments that I've had, the times I've been told that I can't do something, to a positive, and literally come on top and be able to turn it into one good thing. And if I can do that, like, it's such a nice feeling to know that I've been able to turn things around, rather than letting something like that ruin me, because it could go both ways, you know what I mean? And it's kind of been, it'd be a lesson to me as a man, the fact that I haven't had my dad there, and I've grown up with my mum being there to support me, and she's gone through hell. My brother and my sister have gone through hell, and like I say, I've been the oldest boy, and I haven't been able to support him when I was younger. But now this is the time. This is the time where I can come back and I can repay things. I can basically say that I'm there for you, and I've got your back now. We don't need my dad. I mean, it's about us now. And, but that actual initial struggle is still going on, or always has been, and times are hard. You know what I mean? And when you got something like seriously like that to fight for, it makes you fight.
I remember the glory days of British boxing in the 90s when the best guys were fighting each other, and it was the talk of the town. These are the kind of fights that the UK MMA scene needs. It's the best against the best.
I don't see weaknesses in Danny's game. He can outbox you. He can out-wrestle you. You can't sub him. You're going to need an axe to stop him. That's how I see that fight going down. I don't see Jimmy has anything in his arsenal that's going to threaten Danny at all.
I've been watching Jimmy, I've been dreaming about Jimmy, I've been thinking about it all the time, do you know what I mean? So I'm learning about this guy through and through, do you know what I mean? I want to know everything about him, at the ins and outs, and I feel like I'm getting there now, do you know what I mean? As we're coming towards the end, building up towards the show, and it's at this point now where I fully believe in myself that I've got the capabilities of coming on top and showing everyone, the Cage Warriors fans, exactly what I've got to offer. And I think this is going to be the time where everything's going to come on top for me, and I'm out there to earn that respect from the people, the doubters, people that aren't quite sure on me, you know what I mean?
Sure, you know, the loser has a lot to lose. I'm not doubting that, but at the same time, it's not end of the world. But, you know, for the winner, the reward is huge.
To be Cage World Champion would be something amazing. It's what I want to do. I've messed up on title fights in the past. Everything feels right. I'm with the right promotion. I'm doing everything right. I want to be Cage World Champion. And I believe I can do it. I really do. I believe I can do it. People say I'm an old dog and stuff. I'm only 30, you know, people, yeah. I'm getting better. I think I can do it. I think I can become champion.
I'm hungry ain't the word, honest to God. I'm ready to just eat. I can sit there and I can think about it and I can make the hair stand up on the back of the neck and on my arms just thinking about it because that's how much this means to me. It's life or death. And when I get in that cage, it's going to be exactly the same story as well. I'll fight to the bitter end, you know what I mean? And there's no two ways about it. Jimmy's going to have to put me asleep or he's going to have to do something bad to me to be able to stop me from coming to get that win.
I've got Danny in front of me and yeah, a lot of people are saying no, but a lot of people are favouring him. And I can sort of understand that because I haven't performed great and stuff. But look at it, Danny ain't fought anyone like me either. Nowhere near. I don't think there's anyone fought anyone near a bad judo Jimmy on a bad day. So to fight judo Jimmy on a good day, I know he's going to be ready. But so am I. And it ain't an easy fight for him. Just like it ain't an easy fight for me. But all these people think he's just going to beat this old dog. You're mad. You're mad. I don't get finished. You know what I mean? This kid ain't going to finish me. And to beat me, he's going to have to bring everything, and he may. But it's going to be a war, and he's got his work cut out, so we'll see how it goes.